You know what? Instead of crashing out, let's actually jump on to part 2, because this is the Star Wars Starfighter part of conversation. Okay, so we've known about this film for a bit of time, 'cause it's been rumored to be in development for years. Even before Deadpool and Wolverine, it was like, oh, he's gonna make a Star Wars film.
Yeah, the
We knew,
rumblings of a Sean Levy Star Wars
right?
joint. Yeah.
We then started to hear, oh, Ryan Gosling's gonna star in it. Okay, good. So now we know the production has started this week. We know it's set to release a year from May, so a year after Mando and Grogu. Awesome.
Year of the 50th, year of the
Yep,
Star Wars 50th.
yep. This
And
film also,
there's a window where A New Hope re-release and Starfighter
yeah,
could be in theaters at the same time.
that's true. That's going to be awesome. And the only other thing that we can really talk about for right now, we're going to obviously touch upon everything, is that this film is set, I believe it's 5 years after Rise of Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's been rumored Daisy might cameo in it to kind of set up a thing. We don't know. That's still a rumor, but we did get some of the cast members. I think my favorite addition has to be Amy Adams as a droid. Now,
That was
I
such
don't.
a wild take. I saw
That's
you
just
put
Amy Adams.
online. I was
Look,
such a wild take. I don't have enough of an opinion about Amy Adams to fight you
so
about this.
I like her in the Enchanted movie, or in the Enchanted movies. But
She's really
outside,
good in that one sci-fi movie with the weird
yes,
monolith.
the one with
Arrival.
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah. I can't
Arrival,
remember.
is it? Is it
Is it
Arrival?
Arrival?
I think it is.
Arrival.
Yeah, she's great in that. Outside of that, I haven't seen her in anything else I've enjoyed her in. So I'm just gonna assume she's a droid, but I'm probably wrong. I don't know. She's probably his mom or something. Let's be real. I mean,
Maybe like the kid.
yeah, the kid. Yeah, whoever that little kid is playing. Yeah,
I
don't know.
I'm
When
I'm
you say little kid,
excited.
oh, the little, no, sorry, yeah, I completely had a dumb moment there. Ignore me.
I'm excited for this. You know, I have like a mild mixed opinion that is like very easily trounced by just like looking into like the broad horizon here. Because like on one hand, I'm like, okay, Star Wars, I love you.
Yeah.
We're getting a little long in the tooth with the like grizzled veteran taking care of a small child. Like,
Yeah,
we've done this a lot lately. Like, you know, we have the Mandalorian, you know, we have the Bad Batch, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know, like,
bro. Every one of Sony's popular video games is Sad
Yeah.
Dad Simulator. Like, come
it's
on,
Sad
give me
Dad
something else.
Simulator.
Yeah,
You know, like, and you know, it is what it is. You know, I'm curious to see what this looks like and how this is a variation on that trope,
Mhm.
because there are big differences between how it's presented in The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, all of the times we've gotten this, you know, there's a good chance Star Wars Jedi 3 is this, because Cal adopts Kata Akuna after
Yeah.
double tapping her father right in front of him, or right in front of her, which is still so funny to me. But aside from that, like, I think this is really exciting. You know, I think there's been a lot of discourse about the eras that Star Wars has chosen to focus on. And I remember early on, I was, you know, like in the 20 teens, like not long after the acquisition of Lucasfilm, I had a lot of frustration that everything felt really obsessed with the original trilogy. And it had a lot of like prequel, it felt like prequel shame, you know, and that was not helped by the fact that even JJ Abrams was joking about, I wanted to put Jar Jar's skeleton in the deserts of Jakku, you know, where it kind of had that like, oh, we're still ashamed of the prequel stink on it. And over time that has changed, and over time we have gotten more stories that are, you know, adjacent to the prequels. But even then, like, a lot of these stories that are like rooted in the prequels in terms of their characters are still have more to do with the sequels, you know, stuff like Bad Batch, you know, like, yeah, it picks up as Revenge of the Sith is ending, but it's all about the rise of the Empire, you know, and obviously stuff like Andor, stuff like Obi-Wan Kenobi. All of the TV shows, except for the Acolyte, have been like post the original trilogy or right before it happens. You know, so there's been this like weird feeling about where it's going. My reaction to that has always been, if you look back at Legends, it had to grow in a really weird direction.
Oh yeah.
then, because all we had was the OT. And while people were like trying to write books, write comics, make video games, it had to go through George. And there were those moments where George said, no, because I'm doing something with that.
Yeah.
I'm doing something with that. So by the time the prequels are out and then you look at the EU, it's then this like constant game of catch up of, oh, here's a cool idea. Let's expand upon that. And now there's a whole book about whatever. That's where the Glup Shido reputation comes from.
Right.
Is Star Wars writers love to just take a thing and expand outwardly. And because the new canon began with 6 movies and a TV show and has turned into 11 movies and many TV shows, like, you almost have this weird conundrum where you have all of these different points on the timeline you can expand from, while also not wanting to clutter it because it is a unified canon, because there are no longer tiers of canon. And I understand why people get frustrated, but also like we need to build everything out again, you know? Yeah. So all of that to say, I can't believe we're finally getting something post sequel trilogy.
Yeah, honestly,
like that, like, and again, I understand why people want that so badly and have been screaming for it, but also there are other points on the timeline that needed filled out, that needed to have a little bit more body to them. And honestly, again, I am not the sequels weren't planned person. The OT wasn't planned. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
But for the people who beat their chest on that specific talking point to high heaven, aren't you glad they've clearly been pondering what comes after episode 9 for so long?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm cool if it takes forever to get past the Battle of Exegol. You know, if that means like we can tell there was a lot of tender love and care and thought put into those next steps. I love the sequel trilogy. I'm not here to bash it, to argue about any very tired talking points, but this next phase of canon is so crucial.
Agreed. And like, to me, it's like, I want the sequel trilogy to get the prequel trilogy treatment, where I know today it's revisionist history. People love the prequels. Plinkett just did that new video, and coincidentally enough, in it, they praise Acolyte for being what a lot of people hate in Acolyte is just a retread of what happened in the prequels. Like, he points out, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of similarities. Like, I hope that the sequels now get that Clone Wars treatment and Rebels treatment. And I hope this Starfighter film is the next step towards that. And like, now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll ask you, Jared, you probably know better than anybody. Is this a rework of Patty Jenkins's scrapped film?
No.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when this got announced, I was in Kentucky with Bill Sheehy, one of my other co-hosts, and that was like the first thing we talked about. I don't know. I would not be surprised if there are elements in there. They played it super fast and loose with the details about whatever Rogue Squadron was going to be.
Right, yeah.
We knew next to nothing. All we knew was X-Wing pilots. You know, Patty Jenkins' dad was in the Air Force. Star Wars Top Gun was kind of the vibe we were all being given. And I remember a bunch of people were harping on the idea that they thought it would be post-sequels because Patty Jenkins steps into a Resistance X-Wing. And again, but she also puts on a Rebel Alliance helmet, if I remember correctly. So, who knows? You know,
right? Yeah. Okay.
Like this could be a smattering of like the Rebel helmet is more iconic, but the very sleek, you know, kind of like dark colored, bright orange X-Wing is more like, you know, of the time. So who knows? I am not 100% sure. I wouldn't be surprised if there are elements in there. Like we know so little about what that was supposed to be. I know there are rumblings I heard about what was in that script that I don't think I'm at liberty to say. I don't even know how true it is, that I think are very funny from the Rogue Squadron leftovers. But like I said, who's to say? I don't know. We don't know what era that was supposed to be in. I think that's kind of the main bellwether, is what era was it meant to be in.
Right. So then, what's your take on everything we know about this one, though? Because Starfighter, to me, again, it's post Rise of Skywalker, perfect. I want to keep moving the timeline. And we know, obviously, the stars of it, but we have no other ideas of anything going on with it. And the rumors are, I mean, they're rumors, so don't put any,
and
stock
Star
into
Wars
those.
rumors at that, which can get
Yeah.
a little quite dicey.
And I was back in the day on theforce.net, so I know all the rumors that can happen,
Classic.
okay? Okay,
See, that's the generational divide. You're the Force.net. I am Star Wars Episode 7 News.com.
Yeah, see, that's how it goes. So it's been a long time. I mean, just looking at it, I'm excited that 2 years in a row we're gonna get 2 Star Wars films. It's cool. Whatever happens with Mando and Grogu, we'll see. But I think this one excites me a lot more just because it's unknown. It's like the unknown
Mhm.
factor. I'm like, I know nothing about like Mando and Grogu. I know it's a known commodity. I've watched the series. I've watched all the seasons multiple times. The first season I've seen like 4 times through, so I know what I'm expecting. Here it's like I don't know, and that gets me more interested, especially with an interesting cast. And of course, Mitch's favorite actor Matt Smith is in it, so how could you not be excited?
I'm fine. I get balanced out by having Simon Bird in the cast, which is wild to me.
Do you not care? Do you not care for Matt Smith?
I hate Matt Smith. If there's anyone that can't act in this planet, it's Matt Smith.
Whoa!
Yep,
wild take. I am sincerely shocked by that. Mitch, if I can ask you a question, I don't want this to come. I know we joke about me being racist towards British people and pro and noob a lot. So I sincerely
joking about that.
I sincerely don't mean this to sound like a British stereotype.
Of course it is.
Are you a Doctor Who guy?
No. I've never been a Doctor Who guy.
See?
With your taste in fiction, that makes sense. I can see that.
He's betraying his people.
But
I know few people that like. There's a reason why Doctor Who is not going to be back on this decade.
Yeah.
People just don't like it anymore. It's done.
Yeah,
that's I think.
Right, you can make some argument that the last 2 have been the woke. Quotes,
I think part of it has been woked. I think another part of it is that it's a structure of television that is not feasible anymore. That is getting.
I just think they've just told everything that they can do. It's gotten like even the diehard Doctor Who fans I know it's just ridiculous now.
Either way, he's the 11th Doctor is really good. I'm a 12th Doctor guy.
I mean, remember, like Matt Smith was supposed to play Palpatine, so like,
allegedly, yeah.
That's interesting.
But that's the other funny thing with like the Matt Smith Palpatine stuff is that like, again, what people love to talk about being a flaw of movie making about like, oh, they had all these ideas and they were like switching everything around. So yeah, that's how that works. That's how that happens. Like Matt Smith, they had the idea of, once he like force drains Rey and Ben, the Sidious like force drains Rey and Ben, that like he would like it would fully rejuvenate him and we would see a young Sheev Palpatine in that place. But like Matt Smith was never on set.
You said that. I'm sorry.
Smith was never on set. He never got fitted for a costume. He never did a screen test. It was very much wouldn't it be cool if Matt Smith was young Darth Sidious?
Yeah.
Horrendous idea.
I liked it quite a bit. But yeah, no, the wide openness of what's to come, the cast is very exciting. The cast was shocking to me because I remember when the Ryan Gosling rumors first started percolating, and I talked about it on Knights of the Nerd Republic, and it was one of those moments where like I think Star Wars fans in particular have a very dysfunctional relationship with our expectations and with how we like engage with Star Wars. And I think that relationship with expectations and like how we remember things has a tendency to be where a lot of the ugliness comes from with the fandom and how it reacts to things. And I remember like, and I do my best to check myself with that because I don't want to become a closed-minded Star Wars fan. I don't do everything in my power to not be like, this is Star Wars. This is not stomping my foot. And I remember it was like, oh, Matt Smith. It was Ryan Gosling. I'm like, this flies in the face of everything Star Wars casting is supposed to be. It's always supposed to be unknowns. It's supposed to be unknowns. What happened to unknowns? What happened to unknowns? And I'm like having that initial reaction of like, that's goddamn Ken. That's Ken. That's the dude from Blade Runner and La La Land and The Notebook.
Right.
What are we doing? He can't be the lead of a Star Wars movie.
His own Michael Keaton Batman moment.
I truly, I was having the Michael Keaton Batman moment like for very briefly, and I kind of stopped and I went, it's not the 70s anymore. It's not the 2000s anymore. It's not even the 2010s anymore. You know, I'm always beating the drum of just because you heard something in the trades, give the storytellers the chance to tell the story they want to tell.
So it's Ryan Gosling from Blade Runner.
I couldn't remember his name. I'm sorry.
Either
way, I was like, he's a great actor. He's somebody who's bringing the house down right now. Give it a chance.
The only negative I have about this is that the moment I saw it, guess the comments, you know, everybody's like, oh, finally, they're not putting people of color or women in our face. I'm like, oh, you guys are so...
Despite a whole third of the cast being women and people of color.
Yeah, but it's not the main star that's a female. That's what matters. You know,
it's just the guy who played the most homoerotic character in movies in the last like 10 years.
Yeah.
Plus, I guarantee you, if you idolize him, I guarantee you he does not listen to the Joe Rogan podcast religiously. So you probably wouldn't like him in real life.
I'd hope not.
No, I don't get that vibe from him at all.
Yeah.
No, like I said, the cast is really interesting. You know, the 1-2 punch of Mia Goth and Matt Smith as the villains is really exciting. I say villains because that's what the trades were saying. With what was like when we were hearing about Mia Goth and Matt Smith, they were saying these will be our baddies. Again, does that mean any type of like first order holdout? Does that mean criminal underworld? Does that mean a new government? Does that mean Force user? We don't know. I am a little disappointed. Like, again, I'm excited for Matt Smith to finally be in Star Wars. There's a part of me that always wanted to see Matt Smith play a Sith Lord because he just has Sith face. He has Sith voice, you know, especially like watching House of the Dragon. You know, I see some Dark Lord of the Sith and Daemon Targaryen.
He is so good in Game of Thrones. It's ridiculous. Every time he's on screen, you're like, this is the best party episode. Like, he just commands the scenes. He is, man.
Factually
he is
wrong. Factually wrong.
But also,
the only good part of House of the Dragon was Millie York, and then they got rid of it.
I like all of them, to be honest with you. But I will say also, people didn't notice, and people probably didn't notice because they don't realize it. But Green Lantern Jon Stewart, Aaron Pierre, is in this cast. And remember, him and Mia Goth.
That's where I've known him from. Okay.
Him and Mia Goth are both people that are attached to Blade. I think he officially left when the third version of the script was, canceled, so he could do Green Lantern. So I'm like, I wonder if this is Disney sort of making right with some actors that fell through, being like, we still want to work with you. Here you go, because I'm excited for like him as well, because he's a good actor. His stock is rising. I think with Green Lantern and then this, it's going to be a good couple years for him, And he was great in Krypton. Me being the only person that's ever seen Krypton, so only I know. So yeah.
I forget about that show every time, and you're the only one that brings it up.
I don't blame you.
but no, it's really exciting. And the era is what I'm super hyped for. I've talked about this on Knights of the Nerd Republic. Over the past year, I kind of like blasted through the greatest hits of like the post Return of the Jedi Legends books. Like I did the Thrawn trilogy, I did New Jedi Order, I did Legacy of the Force, and I did Fate of the Jedi. And what I loved about that era, I say that era, it's like basically the course of like 50 years. What I liked about that time period was watching the galaxy change so much that, the New Republic kind of dies in the crib because of the Yuzon Vong and becomes the, Galactic Federation, the Galactic Alliance. And then the Galactic Alliance falls into a civil war. And then what's left of the Galactic Alliance then has to contend with Abeloth and the Lost Tribe of the Sith. And I really like the idea of the galaxy being way more sectarian after the fall of the First Order. Like, and again, and like that can be a driving force for, you know, whatever this new era looks like. Whatever stories
That's
you want
kind
to
of like
tell.
what I'm hoping for. Like, I don't want another, oh, we are the second empire or the third
Yeah, the third
do something a
republic.
little different, right? Yeah, do something like,
Yeah.
I like the idea that you're going with there, that there might be doing that, because it's like there's a lot to I mean, there's an entire galaxy, for love of God, that we haven't really been to any of it besides like 15 places, you know, for an
Yeah.
extended
And
period of
12
time.
of those
So
places are sand.
it's true.
But yeah, I mean, you could do a lot with it being very sectarian. You know, again, who knows what's happening with Rey? Be it her own movie, be it a trilogy, be it there is a movie about her Jedi Order, and then a trilogy with which she is the main character of.
Mhm.
Like, who knows? Who knows what any of that ends up being, right? But I remember Sharmino Obaid-Chinoy talking about the idea of the main kind of question being asked by the Rey movie, again, whatever that ends up being, was like the galaxy reacting to whether or not they need the Jedi. Like a galaxy wide, like Luke in Last Jedi moment.
Yeah.
Of like, well, look what good that's done us.
Yeah.
Look how many planets
yeah.
have been destroyed and how many billions have died, trillions have died because of the First Order, you know, and like that kind of crisis, and especially across a sectarian galaxy, you know, like a feudal, just everything's broken up into regions. You know, the terms core world, mid rim, outer rim become a lot more important when, you know, where there's not a unified government. And
I like what
how
you're
do the
saying
Jedi
here,
interact with that?
because what you're saying here, me as a Star Wars, but also Star Trek nerd, that gets me excited, because that's how Star Trek is divided. They got the quadrants, and then they got the corners. You got like the Dominion corner, you got the Klingon, you got the Romulans, and it's these tight zones. And anytime something happens, it's political intrigue. Like, if Star Wars was to add a little bit more of that, and Starfighter kind of introduces us into that with a Starfighter, and probably this is going to be, you know, like, it is going to be our Top Gun Star Wars. I'm excited for that perspective of on the brink of war, fighting with these crafts in space, and, you know, close to the planets, or maybe even in low altitude. I don't know, you know, whatever they're going to do. But like, there's a lot of excitement for this film from me, just because it is something fresh. You know, it's a whole new universe of possibilities. And my only hope is just don't play it safe. Like, do something different, you know, take another risk, do something a little different. Like, again, my worst fear is end of this film, Matt Smith is like, you didn't know who I am, does a Red Skull moment. I'm a Sith. Ah, ha, ha. I am the descendant of Darth Malgus. And I'd just be like, throw up everything and leave the theater. I'd be like, nah, I'm done. You know, it's like,
I mean, I understand that, and I don't necessarily think that you rip off the Sith Band-Aid this early.
Yeah.
But like, my only pushback to that is that I gotta phrase this carefully. Because people will get the wrong idea, and I refuse to play into something that I hate. The Sith will always exist as long as the Jedi exist. At their core, the Sith are like this like obstinate, like authoritative, defiant disorder made into a religion. You know, like the Sith have their own philosophy, they have their own belief system, but a lot of that is based out of, like, back at the dawn of the Jedi, 100 years into the Jedi existing, a group of Jedi said, but what if we did use the dark side? And all of the right-thinking Jedi went, absolutely not. People will die.
Yeah.
And those guys said, but I wanna stomp their feet, and pissed off to Moraband or Korriban. Both are canon, and that's hilarious. But that they're always going to exist because of, like, there is a natural presence of darkness in the galaxy. And there are always going to be people who want to take advantage and entrench themselves in that darkness. I don't think you can ever get rid of the Sith. I don't want the Sith to ever go away. I think it should be a big deal when they come back. I think that the concept of how they are introduced should be very important. Again, I am a Palpatine being brought back defender in concept. You know, I don't hate the idea of him being resurrected. It is not an original idea. It is not that insane to say that this Machiavellian like sociopath was like bending nature to his will. That is the most Sith thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think there are avenues I think there are multiple routes you could go. I think you can go the Lost Tribe of the Sith route from Legends, where during the Sith expansion, there was a group of them that ended up trapped in like Outer Rim, Wild Space, Unknown Regions land.
Yeah, that's what I want.
We're just chilling there for like thousands of years.
Yes.
The last Japanese soldier
who have no point of contact with the rest of the galaxy. The name Skywalker means nothing to them. The name Sidious, Palpatine, Kenobi mean nothing to them. They don't know about the Sith Cramp. They don't know who Darth Bane is.
It's kind of like using the ideas of Skeleton Crew, right? Because I love Skeleton Crew. That show,
yeah.
Oh, that got me in, man. I was like, this is it. I want more of this. And then it's like, all right,
So you could do something with the Lost Tribe. There's something Lost Tribe adjacent. I also, a little project I've been working on off and on was like how I would do like the Rey movie, and how I would, how it would connect to my idea for like an Obi-Wan season 2, but like at its core, and it's still kind of Lost Tribe of the Sith adjacent, but I think it is different enough that you wouldn't be classified like that, is that like when we see what the Sith Eternal are, that like this cult that worships the Sith, right? That they are not themselves the Sith. I think you could very much do something with the idea that it wasn't just Exegol that the Sith Eternal were on, and that there were pockets that went, maybe the Sith Eternal should not be dedicated to this one guy.
Right, yeah.
Maybe Sidious, kind of like, as he tends to do, did a hostile takeover of the Sith Eternal, and like most of them were on Exegol, and most of them were on Exegol when it fell. But that there could still be pockets of people who were still like evangelizing the way of the Sith and trying to bring it back to some type
I
of...
like the idea that some Sith were brought in to work secretly for the government while others ran to Argentina. That type of scenario. It's like, well, they didn't. Some of them just escaped to another planet and integrated themselves into this mind. Like, that would be a cool idea to explore, though, right? Like, a Sith escapes, starts to establish a new order, and he's like, oh, I'm going to teach them my ideology. It's secretly a Sith or ideology. That's my real hope for the future of Star Wars, is like, I like what we got. I like all the trilogies to varying degrees. I like all the TV shows. I don't hate any of them. I don't like hate, like I just straight up hate. None of that for Star Wars for me.
That's on record, by the way.
It's true. I even like Star Wars Resistance, and I don't think anybody watched that, honestly. Did Jared even watch that?
I caught a couple episodes.
Yeah, see?
It's on my list of I need to watch this only to protect myself in epic confrontations.
See, there you go. So, like, yeah.
It cost me a very important match, so I've got to make time to watch Resistance.
So there we go. Okay, so we're going to start wrapping up on Star Wars just because we did talk a lot about it, because I wanted this conversation because we haven't actually talked on CBC and for Star Wars in probably well over a year. So it's kind of good to touch upon everything.
I think the last explicitly Star Wars related episode was Mitch having me on to talk about the Acolyte.
I think it was.
Possibly, yeah. So exactly. It's been well over a year. So we will get back to this, obviously. As we get closer to Mando and Grogu, we will cover that on the channel a little bit more, and we're going to bring on Jared to discuss it with us. So all the Jared fans, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yes. It's not only stay tuned for me, stay tuned specifically for me talking about Star Wars. So
that's it. That's exactly it. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will. And if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.